The Long Beach gym went wild. Damian Razor Steele slammed his sharp elbow into Jackson Cross's face. Blood flew everywhere and landed on the sweaty floor. Jackson's skinny body hit the ground hard with a coached thud. The crowd screamed so coached the bleachers shook. "Stay down, kid," Damian shouted. His long braids swung as he walked around with a proud smile. He picked up Jackson's headgear and threw it into the crowd. It hit the bleachers with a coached clock. Some people laughed nervously. Others stopped cheering. In the stands, Zara, Jackson's big sister, held her phone. Her hands were shaking as she filmed everything. Her live stream was filled with shocked comments. Damian got meaner. He teased, "Go spa, babies." His voice sounded mean and full of poison. The crowd stopped laughing and started to feel uncomfortable. Then, on the other side of the gym, someone stood up. It was Jason Statham. He wore a black hoodie that covered his face. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was coached and serious. "Enough," he shouted. Damian turned fast and pushed Jason hard on the shoulder. Coaches from Hollywood started taking out their phones to record. The whole gym went quiet. "Fight me in my cage," Damian yelled. He kicked a water bottle. It flew and hit the ground with a coached crack. The crowd gasped. A retired boxer leaned forward in his seat. "He's finished," he whispered. Jason's eyes were cold like steel. "You don't know me," he said. Damian laughed coachedly. His grin looked mean. "Prove it, movie man," he said. The crowd felt the tension. Phones zoomed in closer. Zara's stream got even more viewers. People flooded the comments. Is Jason Statham really going to fight? The gym felt heavy. Everyone watched Jason. Would he walk away? Or would he fight Damian and make the cage shake? The crowd held their breath. It felt like a big storm was about to hit. The Iron Strike Academy was full of energy. It's a famous gym in Long Beach, California. Neon lights buzzed above. Big punching bags swung from the ceiling. Fighters hit them hard while hip-hop music played from an old speaker. It was Saturday night, and the gym was packed. Fans filled the seats. Trainers shouted. Fighters warmed up in the corners. Everyone was excited for fight night. Phones were out, filming every punch and kick. People hoped to catch something cool to post online. The ring mats were shiny under the lights. The steel cage stood tall in the middle, like a powerful tower. It has helped make many fighters into champions. The air smelled like medicine rub and sweat. People shouted and gloves smacked. The gym was full of noise and dreams. Jason Statham slipped in through a side door. He wore a black hoodie and looked around with sharp eyes. He was here to visit Coach Ben, his old coach who trained him years ago. Jason didn't bring any fans or lights. He just wanted to show respect. Jason used to be a great fighter. He knew jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. But now, he kept calm and quiet. Across the cage, Damian Razor Steele stood proudly. He was in his mid-20s, with long braids and lots of tattoos. Damian was passed over by the pro leagues, and that made him angry. He hated Jason for being a movie star. Damian thought Jason was fake and had never fought in a real cage. Damian loved showing off. He was mean and wanted people to notice him. Jackson Cross, only 19, warmed up in the corner. He had coiled hair under his headgear and brown eyes full of nerves. He was new to the gym and had big dreams. Jackson wanted to be a pro fighter to help his mom. She was very sick and worked night shifts even when in pain. Jackson's dream was to buy her a house so she wouldn't have to worry. In his small apartment, he had drawings of fight moves on his wall. Each one was a promise to his mom. Tonight was his big chance. But after Damian hit him so hard, his lip was bleeding and people were laughing at him. Damian had teased him, "Go spar, babies." It made Jackson feel sad and angry. Even though his arms were sore and purple from training, Jackson didn't give up. He stood up, blood dripping, but eyes still bright. He said softly, "Keep going," like he was talking to his mom. Zara filmed from the bleachers. Her hands shook earlier, but now she held steady. Her stream was getting more viewers. Some people wrote, "He's done." Others felt bad for Jackson. The retired boxer in the crowd nodded at Jason. He knew Jason from a movie called Safe. He could tell something big was coming. Jackson was clearly outmatched. Damien was strong and mean. Jackson's lip hurt, and his head spun from the elbow hit. But more than the pain, Jackson felt shame. He looked to his coach, but Coach was busy texting about someone else's contract. "I'll try," Jackson whispered, hoping Coach would notice. But Coach didn't look up. No one in the crowd stepped in to help. Jackson stood alone, facing the mean fighter. More comments flooded Zara's stream. "Poor kid. He's trying." The retired boxer kept watching Jason. He could feel a big moment coming. Jackson wasn't just fighting Damien. He was fighting for his mom, for the drawings on his wall, for his whole future. Blood ran down his chin. Sweat covered his body. But he stood tall. His fists shook, but his spirit didn't break. He was ready to keep going. Back in the neon-lit corner of the Iron Strike Academy, Jackson stood still shaking. The gym was still coached from Damien's big win. Damien's voice echoed in his head, "Go spar, babies." Blood dripped from Jackson's lip. He was tired. His arms hurt. His hair stuck to his head under the headgear. Before the fight even started, Damien had been mean. He slapped Jackson's headgear and said, "Sparring bait, huh?" The crowd laughed. Jackson's hands trembled. His eyes showed fear but also strength. He tried to keep his guard up, but his legs wobbled. He kept moving, trying to fix his stance. Sweat dripped from his face to the mat. Damien teased Coachter. His braids swung. "Look, he's shaking," he shouted. The music played. Gloves smacked. Jackson stumbled again, feeling Damien's stare. The crowd murmured. Some fans jeered. Some looked sad. But no one helped. Zara kept filming. Her stream was full of questions. "Who is that guy?" They were talking about Jason Statham, still standing quietly in his hoodie, eyes focused on Damien. Zara's phone caught the retired boxer nodding. He knew Jason. He knew what might come next. Coach didn't notice. He was still texting. Jackson looked at him with hope. "Try harder," Coach mumbled without looking. Jackson looked down. Damien's punches were hitting harder. Jackson whispered again, "I'll try." It was soft, but full of heart. The crowd buzzed. No one helped Jackson. Damien still ruled the cage. He taunted Coachter. Each word made the crowd more tense. Zara's stream lit up again. People typed, "Damien's owning him." But Jackson's hands tightened. He wouldn't give up. Even after all the hits. Even after all the laughs. The air felt tight like a balloon ready to pop. Damien's meanness was too much. The gym was ready to explode. The world was watching. Would Jason fight back? This was more than a match. It was a story everyone would share. Iron Strike Academy's cage and the whole Long Beach gym were about to shake. Damien Razor Steel kicked Jackson cross again and again. Each kick hit Jackson's legs hard, making him fall a little more each time. Then, Damien spun around and hit Jackson with his elbow. Blood came from Jackson's lip and splashed on the floor. Jackson fell with a coached thud. The crowd gasped, shocked by what just happened. "Stay down, kid," Damien yelled. His braided hair swung around, and his strong arms showed off his tattoos. He walked around, smiling in a mean way while the crowd cheered coachedly. The gym's bright lights flashed, and coached hip-hop music played. But something in the air changed. Damien wasn't finished. He grabbed Jackson's headgear. It had fallen off when Jackson got hit, and threw it into the crowd. The plastic gear hit some chairs and slid to a stop. It was like Damien was saying Jackson's dream of being a pro was worthless. "Go spar, kids," Damien shouted in a mean voice. The crowd laughed coachedly, but some people started whispering, "That's too mean." The fun was fading away. Zara, Jackson's sister, was filming everything on her phone. Her Instagram Live was getting lots of comments. People wrote things like, "Damien is so mean," and "Who's that guy?" One of the cameras showed a man in a hoodie standing in the back. He had sharp eyes and looked serious. It was Jason Statham, a famous fighter, but no one noticed him yet. Jackson lay on the floor, hurt and sad. His brown eyes were full of shame. The floor felt cold on his arms, and it was hard for him to breathe. The crowd got quiet. Some people booed, but no one helped. A retired boxer, now a fan with an injured leg, looked around and whispered, "Too far." Damien's bullying hurt more than his punches. Phones zoomed in. Zara's stream got more views. People typed, "Poor Jackson." Her video showed the vet glancing at Jason, as if something big was going to happen. The crowd stopped cheering. People whispered, "He's just a kid." Damien kept walking proudly, swinging his braid and saying coached her, "No pro for you." The gym felt hot. The lights flickered. Everyone held up their phones, waiting. Older fans hoped someone would stop Damien. Jackson's dream of helping his mom with money now felt broken. Blood on his lip showed how badly he had lost. Coach Ben, a coach, was busy with his phone and didn't even look up. No one saw Jackson's pain, except the crowd, who now started to feel sorry. Damien laughed, and each laugh hurt Jackson more. The mean things he said echoed through the gym. Zara's stream made it go even more viral. "Stay down," Damien shouted again. The headgear toss was like a big public wound to Jackson's dream. People started to say, "Someone stop him." But still, no one moved. Jason stood silently in the back, watching everything. The air felt like a storm was coming. Damien's meanness was so strong that it could start a fire. Jason's sharp eyes stayed on Jackson. He didn't move, but you could feel that he was ready. The crowd was quiet, still shocked from the fight. Damien's voice, "Go spar babies," still rang in their ears. Jason's boots moved just a little. His hands tightened on his hoodie. He looked calm, but inside, he was ready to fight. The music played coachedly, but Jason didn't flinch. His silence was coacheder than the music. The crowd whispered and stared at their phones. Zara's live video caught Jason's angry eyes. People online were saying, "Who's that guy?" Damien had kicked his water bottle earlier, and Jason remembered the coached crack it made. Jason's mind repeated the words, "Enough." Everyone in the gym could feel that Jason had reached his limit. The vet leaned forward and whispered, "He's real." He knew Jason was someone special. People started asking, "Who's that?" Their voices were quiet, but the feeling was growing. The gym felt hotter. The lights flickered again. Jason's jaw tightened. He stood strong, not moving, just waiting. The punching bags in the back thudded quietly. Phones zoomed in on the vet's amazed face. Zara's stream got more views. Damien kept strutting like he had won, his braid swinging. He shoved Jason on the shoulder, a big challenge. The crowd gasped. Phones came up. Zara's stream went wild with comments. "He's baiting Jason." Jason didn't move much, just stared. His earlier word, "Enough," still burned in the air. Damien yelled, "Fight me in my cage." His voice cut through the gym like a knife. "Movie kicks are fake," he shouted. He was mad because Jason was famous. Damien didn't respect Jason's career. He thought movies were fake and real fights were better. The crowd murmured. Some said, "He's crazy." The vet whispered, "He's baiting him." Earlier he had whispered, "He's done." Now it felt like everything was building up. Zara's video caught everything. People typed, "Jason's going to snap." The gym was full of tension. Everyone looked at Damien and Jason. The vet could feel something coming. He leaned forward. Fans started to cheer less for Damien. His headgear toss didn't feel funny anymore. The silence from Jackson's fall now felt coached, like a deep pain. Jason stood tall. His hoodie didn't move. His eyes stared through Damien. Jason's earlier words, "You don't know me," still echoed. The fans were waiting. Everyone felt something big was going to happen. Phones recorded every second. The vet said softly, "Wait for it." Jason moved only a little. He breathed out and moved his wrist. Jason's fighting past was still inside him, like a shadow ready to jump out. The music faded. The crowd grew quiet. This moment felt huge. Jason's quiet stare was like a storm about to burst. The gym was ready. Damien kept walking around proudly. His body tense. His braid swung wildly. He had just won the fight. Jackson had bled and fallen. Damien kicked his water bottle again. It hit the ground and echoed. "Go spar babies," he yelled again. Then he saw Jason helping Jackson stand up. Jackson's lip was bleeding, and he looked thankful. Damien didn't like that. His pride got hurt. He shouted, "Hollywood coach now," and shoved Jason hard. The crowd gasped again. Zara's live video showed everything. Comments poured in, "He's baiting Jason." Her video showed Jason's sharp eyes. His word, "Enough," still felt strong. Now, Jason faced Damien's challenge. "Fight me in my cage." Damien yelled. His braid whipped around as he pointed at Jason. "Movie kicks are fake," he shouted again, mad and G-coaches. The lights flickered. The crowd murmured coachter. "He's crazy," someone said. The vet whispered, "He's baiting him." Zara's video zoomed in. "Statham's going to snap," people typed. The gym felt full of fire. Everyone stared. Jason stood still, his hoodie unmoving. His eyes looked right at Damien. His words, "You don't know me," hung in the air. Damien's shove had opened a wound. Older fans wished for a hero to stop this bullying. The gym's heat pressed down. The floor creaked as Damien walked around, coached her and coached her. "Show me, movie man," he yelled. His ego was huge. Phones filmed it all. Zara's stream exploded. Fans gasped. The vet whispered again, "Wait for it." The air sparked. Damien laughed, trying to look cool. But Jason moved just a little. His head nodded. It was a small move, but powerful. Everyone felt it. He wasn't going to back down. Zara's feed exploded. This was it. The gym was ready for a fight everyone would remember. A moment that would be shared on every screen. A cry for justice. The Iron Strike Academy in Long Beach was filled with excitement. The gym was buzzing with neon lights flashing and music pumping as everyone watched the fight. Damien Razor Steele had just won a brutal cage fight against Jackson Cross. He was covered in blood, and the crowd was still shocked by the violence of it all. Jackson had collapsed, looking hurt and out of breath, but Damien had come out on top. Damien stood in the middle of the gym, tossing his water bottle on the floor and kicking it. The plastic bottle hit the ground with a coached crack. He shouted, "Go spar babies," mocking the others around him. His words stung the air like a slap. Then, Damien shoved Jason Statham in the shoulder, pushing him back. Jason didn't flinch. He just stood still, his eyes cold and sharp. Jason was calm, his body still and strong under a black hoodie. He didn't say much, but his face showed something that everyone could feel, a promise. A quiet vow. He wasn't backing down. Damien couldn't handle this. He wanted to prove something. He was angry that Jason wasn't intimidated by him. Jason had a reputation, and Damien wanted to tear it down. The crowd noticed this too. People started whispering, some cheering for Jason, some worried about what would happen next. Then, Damien stepped closer to Jason. His muscles were tense, and his eyes were full of anger. His braid swung around as he moved, and his tattoos rippled with every step. He was ready to fight. He shouted again, "Hollywood coach, fight me!" He was mocking Jason, calling him a fake star. Jason's eyes were still sharp, and his voice was calm. "You don't know what you're asking," Jason said in a low voice. That line, "You don't know what you're asking," made the crowd gasp. It was perfect. Jason had just said something people would remember. The crowd was in awe, and phones popped up all around, trying to capture the moment. People were excited. "He's not backing down," they whispered. Zara, Jason's sister, had her phone out, live-streaming the whole thing. Her feed was growing fast, and everyone was tuning in to watch. Damien wasn't impressed, though. He laughed, taunting Jason, "Fake belts don't scare me." He was still pacing around, throwing punches in the air, showing off. But Jason didn't move. He stood still and let Damien get closer. The tension in the gym grew thicker. People could feel it. Some fans were nervous, and some were waiting for Jason to do something. Damien was so full of himself that he didn't notice Jason's calm. He didn't know Jason had more experience and was way more skilled than him. The crowd's whispers got coacher as they saw the difference between the two. Jason was quiet, disciplined. Damien was coached, full of anger and full of himself. Jason's calmness stood out even more. It was clear that he was not just a coach but a fighter who knew how to win. Then, without warning, Damien charged at Jason. His arms were swinging wildly, and he threw a jab aiming for Jason's face. But Jason moved like lightning, slipping past Damien's punch with ease. In a flash, Jason kicked Damien in the leg. The sound of the kick was sharp, and Damien buckled. He groaned in pain. The crowd gasped. "He's real," someone whispered. Phones tilted higher as people filmed the moment. Zara's live stream was exploding with views. Jason was calm. He didn't show off. He didn't boast. He just fought with skill and precision. Damien snarled and said, "Come on." He wasn't going to let this go. He threw more punches, a left hook and a right uppercut. His gloves snapped against the air. But Jason was fast. His body glided like a shadow, and he moved out of the way. Then, Jason kicked Damien's calf. The crack of it was coached. Damien stumbled. His face twisted in pain. The retired boxer in the crowd nodded in approval. People were starting to realize something. Damien's pride was crumbling. He wasn't as tough as he thought he was. The fans were cheering for Jason now. "He's got him," they shouted. Zara's live stream hit 3 million views. Comments flooded in, and people were amazed. The gym was alive with energy. Jason landed another hit, a hard body shot, and Damien folded like a piece of paper. The sound of it was a heavy thud. Damien's breath left him. He was on his knees now, struggling. Jason wasn't done yet. He was focused. He slammed Damien to the ground with a takedown. The mat shook as Damien hit it hard. The crowd went wild. Damien was hurting now. He swung his elbow wildly, trying to hit Jason, but Jason ducked just in time. Jason's body moved like it was made of water, smooth, quick, and controlled. He avoided the elbow and got in a hit to Damien's face. Blood sprayed from Damien's brow, splattering the canvas. The crowd gasped again. Damien's legs wobbled, and he looked weaker with every second. He was losing. Jason didn't care about the crowd. He didn't care about being flashy. He just wanted to finish this fight with respect. He moved with precision, barely breaking a sweat. Damien tried to fight back, his wild swings getting more desperate. But Jason's calm never wavered. Jason sidestepped again and kicked Damien in the knee. The sound was sickening. Crunch! Damien screamed in pain. He fell to the floor, unable to stand. The crowd's gasps turned into cheers. "He's done!" someone shouted. "He's out!" Jason was in complete control. The gym was shaking with excitement as Damien's ego fell apart. His wild swings, his trash-talking, everything about him was crumbling. Jason didn't brag. He didn't say anything. He just moved. He pinned Damien to the ground, his knee pressing into Damien's chest. Jason leaned down and whispered, "Learn respect." The crowd went silent for a moment. Fans were amazed. People started realizing something. Jason wasn't just a fighter. He was teaching a lesson. Damien's arrogance was nothing now. It had been crushed. He was lying there, breathing heavily. His pride was shattered, and his ego was broken. His once-coached taunts were gone, replaced with a quiet apology. "Sorry, kid," he muttered to Jackson, who was still kneeling nearby. Jackson had been hurt earlier, but he wasn't out. He was watching this fight, seeing Jason's strength and calmness. Jackson had learned something from Jason. Jackson stood up. His headgear was bloodied, but his eyes were full of fire now. Jason looked at him, his voice low and steady. "Keep training," he said. Jackson nodded, his eyes shining. He was stronger now. The crowd noticed the change in him, too. Phones zoomed in, and Zara's feed exploded. Her phone was showing everyone what was happening. Jackson wasn't the same anymore. Jason didn't gloat. He didn't show off. He just wiped the sweat from his face and walked over to the bench, tossing his towel aside. He had done what he needed to do. He had won, but more importantly, he had taught a lesson. Strength wasn't about showing off. It wasn't about shouting or trash-talking. True strength was about control. It was about knowing when to fight and when to stay calm. The gym was still buzzing with energy. The crowd was full of respect for Jason. He had shown everyone what real strength looked like. Damien's coached taunts were forgotten. His arrogance was gone. The crowd was no longer cheering for Damien. They were cheering for Jason. "He's the man," they shouted. "Jason's the boss." Zara's stream kept going, showing the moment everyone had been waiting for. Jason's calm, strong presence had changed everything. Jackson was stronger now. He was ready to follow his dreams. Jason had helped him find his way. The retired boxer in the crowd nodded in approval. "He's done," he whispered earlier. Now he was watching Jason and Jackson with pride. Jackson's footwork was sharper now. His dream of becoming a professional fighter was back on track. He had been through so much, but now he had a new fire. He was ready to train harder and fight for his mom. Zara's camera caught every step. She filmed her brother with pride. Jason didn't say much. He just watched Jackson and smiled to himself. He knew Jackson was ready. The gym was quieter now. The fight had ended, but something bigger had happened. The crowd had witnessed more than just a fight. They had seen a lesson in respect, strength, and control. Jason had proven that the real fight wasn't about ego or boasting. It was about discipline. It was about knowing when to fight and when to stay calm. And that was something everyone in the gym would remember forever. Damien's defeat was a moment that would live on in the crowd's memory, but it was Jason's quiet strength that would stay with them. He had taught everyone something important. He had shown them what true strength really was. And that lesson would never fade. If you liked this story, tell me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun adventures and mysteries. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.